What's going on, people?
Hello.
Do we have another great episode for you today of the film review? Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. We are the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
I'm Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society. We are the voice of the filmmaker and the critic. And do we have a great show for you today? We're talking about the top 10. The top 10 Blaxploitation horror films of all time. Right? And we're also reviewing Downton Abbey. Right? But first, let's take care of some of this right here real quick. First of all, this is brought to you by a couple of different things. Selfish and selfish promotion. That is the Lord Land Theater. Let me bring it down some. Lord Land Theater. It's a little bit too large. There we go. Lord Land Theater. Every Saturday morning, a new episode of Lord Land Theater comes on where actors from Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Cleveland, and Atlanta act opposite yours truly, Crazy D. So we make sure we bring you the best of actors from Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Cleveland, and Atlanta to act opposite yours truly, Crazy D, in Lord Land Theater. So send in your bios and resumes to lordlandenterprises@hotmail.com. That's lordlandenterprises@hotmail.com. Then we have to say what's going on to our sponsor, our show sponsor, right? So let's bring this down. Naturally Fly. Let's bring that closer to the screen so they can see it, right? Let's see if we can get it there. Let me see what we're looking at. There we go. Let me get it focused. And that's Naturally Fly Boutique. You can find it right on Instagram where you can order Naturally Fly Boutique, right? And show them the jewelry one more time so they can see it. Right there on your wrist. They make
all kinds of
unisex. That's right.
Yeah.
So, what happened? Oh, it went somewhere. Okay, people. So
She does custom jewelry, men and women.
That's right, men and women. So we want to say that as we keep going here. We go back to the front here. Come back here so I can see what's going on as we have
so
our
how was your week?
My week was pretty darn good. Let me turn that down some. There we go. My week was pretty good. We went out to see the so-called smash hit Downton Abbey, and we got to.
You said so-called.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it, and we got to see a classic horror film starring Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, it was good to see that.
Right? Called Vampire in Brooklyn, which we said, hey, the Halloween season is coming up, so why not do the top 10? The top 10 horror films, Blaxploitation horror films of all time, right? So here we are. We're here, so we're gonna go ahead and kick off with this now. Now look,
classic.
Now you might have seen this ad around. It's Blaxploitation. We're talking about the greatest top 10 Blaxploitation horror films of all time, right? Now, Blaxploitation, for those who don't know, is a term that was coined by the NAACP president. I need you to check the year on this. I need to know when the original Superfly came out, so I can tell this story. We've told this story many times before, but I want to make sure that we have it totally correct so that everyone gets the thing. But I need to know exactly when Superfly came out, right? What's going on to Pamela Johnson? I see she chimed in.
Hi, Pam.
So we're doing the top 10, and Blaxploitation was coined by the NAACP president, Los Angeles chapter. He had a marketing promotions company, and he had put his bid in to market and promote Superfly, the original, 1972. Okay. So this comes out in 1972, and it is directed by Gordon Park Jr.
August 4th, actually.
August 4th, 1972, it comes out. So the person who he owned a marketing company, promotions company, and he lost the bid. So because he lost the bid, now this comes from out of the mouth of Ron O'Neal. Ron O'Neal, who played Superfly. Because he lost the bid, he then went on to try to destroy the movie and coin a phrase called Blaxploitation, right? So he went on and coined this phrase called Blaxploitation to try to end the popularity of the film, right? And so that term stuck. So all the different films that were coming out in the 70s where there were black leads were called Blaxploitation. And this is where that term comes from. So Ron O'Neal explains that Superfly, the original, just like the remake, the one for 2019, he rides off, he's like a cowboy, like would you see the European and the Western, and he rides off into the sunset. Well, he rode off in his custom built Eldorado, and he rode off into the sunset, beating the mafia, getting out the game, and not worrying to have to come back to the game, because this whole thing was let me out of this game, right? He had come to a certain consciousness about what he was doing, and he wanted out. And that's what Superfly was about, for all intents and purposes, and that's what the one in 2019 is about. But you should go see these films. We have the tag up where you can go to the link and you can go watch the films. But anyway, so now we're looking at the top 10. So we just gave the definition of what Blaxploitation is, right? So looking at the top 10 Blaxploitation horror films of all time, right? I have my list.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
I have a list. It goes. There's some honorable mentions.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go through and mention those first. Abby, right? You heard of Sybil?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was Abby, and you know Abby. You just have to see it. We're gonna, because October is coming up and it's the month of Halloween and horror films. So we're gonna be pushing this all from the end of September all the way on through October through to October 31st, right? So we're going to be giving more details and maybe even showing some clips or some trailers from these films, right? Dr. Black, Mr. Hyde. You've heard of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Well, it's Dr. Black, Mr. Hyde, right? And of course, the Black Eyes Chronicles, The Shifter.
Yes.
Right. So we had to, that's right. We have to do that shameless plug on that. Okay. So those are some honorable mentions, and of course, 2019's Us is definitely an honorable mention in Blaxploitation, because the way I figure it is, a black man coined it.
Right.
To try to destroy one film, but it stuck and it put a stigma on other films.
Right.
But in actuality, they were black hero films.
Right, actually.
What I call Soul 70s cinema.
Okay.
In our store, what we did was we labeled it Soul 70s cinema,
Whole
and
section.
not Blaxploitation. But you know, if it's Blaxploitation, we'll hold on. And Blaxploitation is a type of genre and a type of style that pushes through, and it's not just in the 70s, but it's a through line that comes up all the way through today. And Us is a perfect example of a person who studied Blaxploitation. You know, right? So, number 10 in this, and like I said, we're going to be explaining what's going on to Scott. He chimed in. Kimberly, she chimed in.
Hey, Kimberly.
As we go along for the rest of the month of September, all the way into October to October 31st, we're going to be breaking these films down more. But Bones, have you ever noticed that Snoop Dogg is in almost every genre of film, every type of genre of music he's done?
Right.
Every type of film he's done, from gangster films to horror films, and he had one that came out in 2001, right? 2001, 18 years ago, called Bones. Right now, you might know about the TV show Bones, but this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about Bones by Snoop Dogg, produced by Snoop Dogg, starring Pam Grier.
Right.
That's right. Pam Grier is in it, and she plays his girlfriend. And Pam Grier came through decades. She came through decades, right? And she plays his girlfriend, and she's also a palm reader, spiritualist, I'll say. And she reads his palm, and then the story goes on from there. But it starts out like a musical, but then the second half of the film sits down and it becomes a classic film, right? Number 9, released in 1995, Tales from the Hood. Classic film, right? And we're gonna get in more into these, but I'm running through the list because as the weeks go, we're gonna be breaking down these films more and more. But I'm giving my list, right? Number 8 is one from out of left field that came out in 2000. It's by a hip hop artist named. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Hip hop. Brother Lynch Hung.
Oh. Okay.
Now let's eat, right?
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
So he is anyone who knows Brother Lynch Hung, sick with it. I mean, not sick with it, but I forget the name of the label now. But he was a horrorcore artist. He talked about eating people, and this is Now Eat.
Right.
Is that film where he took what he did on record. It is also a musical, but it is a well put together film. They use techniques from other films. Hey, what's going on, Kimberly Field? She said, hey guys, what's going on with you?
Hey, Kim.
What's your top 10 horror films, or top 5? We'll read it right here over the air, right? But anyway, so Now Eat, Brother Lynch Hung, 2000. Number 7, Blackenstein, 1973. Blackenstein, right? So in the end, this guy is wearing a big mound on his head, and the woman who was his love is the one who brought him. So we're going to talk about this film. We're going to be showing clips on this as this goes along, but you have to see these films. This is black cinema, right? Now, one of the classics that could easily be up at number 1.
Okay.
1976. JD's Revenge.
Yeah.
JD's Revenge, right?
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, that is.
Classic material, right? And we're going to break this down more, right? Number 4. Death by Temptation. Death. D-E-F by Temptation. 1990. This is a film. Kadeem Hardison is in it. It's produced by, I can't think of the guy, but we're going to break this down as we go along, as the weeks go on. But Death by Temptation. Now these next films that are coming up, the last 3 that lead into number 1, including this one, are vampire films.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
This one though, Death by Temptation, is one where it deals with a female vamp.
Okay.
Right? And the female vamp is taking no prisoners. And it's a scene, and we're going to show this all to you as the weeks go on. So number 4 is Death by Temptation. You have to write these down. and make sure that you have these in your repertoire, because these are some of the films that you should be watching during the holiday season. You know, Halloween is fine, and Jason is fine, and all those other things are fine, but you have to start watching some of the greats, some of the great Blaxploitation. Now,
I just remember to do another one, but go ahead.
Okay. Number 3, Vampire in Brooklyn, 1995. We just finished watching that again, starring Eddie Murphy, Kadeem Hardison, and a young Angela Bassett, coming off of What's Love Got to Do With It and Boys in the Hood. Her star was rising, and if you notice the makeup trends, you notice that the trend of the makeup that she's wearing in that film is now back. The more matte lipstick instead of the gloss, all that has come back now, right? So that's back in now.
And Alan Payne is awesome.
That's right, Alan Payne, right? So Vampire in Brooklyn, very well done. Has some of the takes a lot of the folklore from the original vampire films, but Kimberly said you named them all. I'm sure there's some more. Vampire in Brooklyn. He takes the folklore from the original vampire films like Bela Lugosi and all that, but he borrows heavy from the next 2 films that we're going to talk about, especially number 1, right? But Vampire in Brooklyn, well done. Wes Craven.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed? You know, speaking of, whatever else comes to mind, the bodyguard for Richard Pryor was on. Now he's talked about Paul Mooney,
right?
And he talked about how Richard felt that Eddie Murphy didn't like him, right? Because he struck back because Eddie Murphy was on Comics and Cars Getting Coffee or whatever, the pieces on Netflix. And he talked about how every time he would come to want to see Richard, and people would tell him that he said, who's in there? Right. And when he said him, Richard would just ghost it and not show up.
Right.
And so his manager said that he didn't say that, he didn't like him, and at first he didn't believe. His bodyguard said he didn't believe Richard when he said, I'm going to show you. So they said they went to the house, and it took Eddie Murphy 2 hours to come down the steps, and they had him there. He said, like, he's disrespecting me.
Right.
But the man will walk away, but I know this is a good film, so we're going to do this, right? So he said that, but I was thinking to myself, I look at the proof is in the pudding. What's in the pudding? When Richard made it large,
right?
Who did he have in his movie?
Right.
It was him, and he would have a predominantly white cast around him. When Eddie Murphy did movies, once he made it big and he could greenlight things, get things greenlit, he would employ black actors, black people behind the scenes, black people on the camera. He did all this, right? So who knows? Maybe he took a while coming down because he was nervous coming down to see his idol. Who knows?
Or too, what I was thinking is, I know, like when drugs can make you paranoid. Mm-hmm. So, I was just thinking that maybe,
Donald Randell just joined. What's going on with Donald?
Hey, Donald. So that's what I was
thinking. So I look at the proof is in the pudding, because when we was watching Vampire in Brooklyn, he had some white cast members in there, but they were extras in the main people. He didn't have himself. He didn't have him, and then he got him a white bull, or Angela Bassett wasn't with a white partner. Everything that was based around the story was based around a black experience, where there were white people in it because you can't escape it, but it was a black experience. And all of his films, like Harlem Nights, you name it, Life, all of them. Dr. Dolittle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nutty Professor. All of them.
Norbit.
Yeah.
Cat Williams.
Right.
right? And all these people are in the film. He's kind of like a Ice Cube in that aspect. Yeah. He was a forerunner to Ice Cube, but Ice Cube has the mantle and he keeps going. And now with these 2 new films that he's got coming out now, veering off from the horror for a second, people, with Dolomite Is My Name and Coming to America 2, this is black cast, right? And letting them shine. It was funny because I was watching another piece from the people who had Pryor's bodyguard, and it was Guy Torrey, and he said that most times when there's a lead male on the set that's a comic, he wouldn't want the comics to outshine him, so they would say stick to the script. But Eddie told the director, let these guys go, so that we can get the best of it. And Eddie was not, worried about being outshined. He said, get it, do your thing. So I look at the proof is in the pudding and how it's put down. And I think that
actions speak louder than words.
Actions speak louder than words. So number 3, Vampire in Brooklyn, 1995. Excellent. Number 2. Though this is the first in the installment of the films, I have it number 2, and I'm going to tell you why. Blacula, 1972. William Marshall, classically trained actor who trained at the YMCA.
Wow.
That's right. We're going to play an interview piece with him, right? And he trained at the YMCA. He's going to get into that. He's going to go into it, right? But I say Blacula number 2 because, as you see, he fought for the folklore of the vampire, the black vampire, to be in it, that it wouldn't be just buffoonery. He fought for that, right? And it was a beautifully a cultured piece, as well as the action that was in it, right? But by the time that they got to 1973 and Scream, Blacula Scream, everything was there. The folklore was there. The tale was there. The storyline was there. The way that he reemerges from the undead, from being dead back to the undead, well put together. Is mythology, is black and African mythology put together, and it is a beautiful piece. Number 1, Scream, Blacula, Scream. So let's go through it. Number 1, Scream, Blacula, Scream. 2, Blacula. Number 3, Vampire in Brooklyn. Death by Temptation. 5 is, oh man, I left one out. How could I left out a classic? And I skipped over it and did not mention it. But number 5. Rudy Ray Moore. Petey Wheatstraw. The Devil's Son-in-Law. Number 5. Petey Wheatstraw, the Devil's Son-in-Law. Rudy Ray Moore. Rudy Ray Moore was making films. He had Dolomite, Human Tornado, Petey Wheatstraw, Disco Godfather, right? But this one right here is a horror film, and it is well done. JD's Revenge, number 6. Number 7, Blackenstein. Number 8, Now Eat, Brother Lynch Hump. Number 9, Tales from the Hood. And number 10, Bones, right? And so we're going to be going in on more. So, you mentioned that, because that'd be part of your list.
Well, our list is the same, but I'm going to add on the Sweet Blood of Jesus.
The Sweet Blood. Yeah, the Sweet Blood of Jesus. If you have never seen that film, this came out around...
Came out in 2014.
2014. Spike Lee was moving into the digital from off of film, and these were some of the one of the films that he did during that period in 2014 that you can see on demand, called the sweet blood of Jesus. Now, when you first open the film, you think that it is a spiritual, religious piece, which in most cases it is, because it's a through line from Oscar Micheaux, right? And so Spike Lee mixes horror with the religious through line that are in most black films. Even within the Blaxploitation films, there's a spiritual line. You always see a preacher or a minister within these films, right? And you also get to see a young, I forget his name, Rocky or whatever his name is. From Queens, from the film.
Rami Malek.
Yeah, from the
Mr.
film.
Robot.
Mr. Robot and Rhapsody. You're right. Mm-hmm. So that was the Queen film. He won the Oscar for it the same night that Spike Lee. He didn't thank Spike Lee, but that's okay, because that was the first time we saw him in a film, right? So those are the top 10, right? The top 10 films of horror. And right now, I'm getting ready to play an interview done by Tanya Hart. There used to be a show called LA Live that would come on every day, right? It used to come on every day on BET. It used to come on every day, and she would have interesting people that she would interview, right? And she interviewed William Marshall, right? And this is a small clip from the interview that we have here, and we're going to play it for you right now, and then we'll be back to review Downton Abbey, right? Downton Abbey doesn't stand up to all of the hype, or is it dope or nope? You know, so I'm going to break it down to you. But right now, here is the interview where William Marshall, the one who portrayed and brought Blacula to life, where he talks about what was actually happening during that time and how he had to fight to bring that character to life the way that we see it today.
Well, we're glad to have you here and glad to see you. It is interesting because of all of the wonderful roles that you have had over the years, and you've had many. Blacula is the one that you're most known for. Why do you think that is that way?
Well, it was a part of the so-called exploitation period in the early 70s, when there was an outcry on the part of black artists and would-be producers, writers, for films that dealt with the lives of black folk, because this had never really been done or considered very much in the United States. And I remember myself saying there were so many stories that black people could have fit into very easily, since you say there isn't much material about us, although we have the richest history of any folk walking this earth.
We do have a lot of history. Much of that history you brought to this film. You were quite demanding about that, I understand.
Well, quietly, yes. I thought it would make it a better film, and it would make it a film that I could be in.
You were telling a little bit of the story. We saw a brief part of it, but what was it that you brought to the film that you worked hard to convince the
character's name was Andrew Brown, when they handed me the script. And Andrew Brown, as you may know, is a character in Amos and Andy of ages ago. That was not the finest thing that ever could have happened to us.
Did the producers really, were they thinking about Andrew Brown from Amos and Andy, do you think, in 1972 when they did Blacula?
That was the name of the character, and I think they were old enough to know about Amos and Andy and the damaging effect that it had on us. I think there was something of a resentment on the part of many producers who sensed this outcry and didn't want our voices to ring resonantly about and create a new kind of genre.
Right.
So, and that they were interested in my playing the part, I explained that this was not a part that was going to be successful where they were concerned. They wanted to make money. This isn't it. I said, you need to have a property that will be of interest to your target audience. Sort
of a hook that would really make it work.
So he's got to be meaningful. He's got to, when he becomes a vampire, he is no longer useful to his people. So he sets out from Africa, as I see it, trying to do something about putting an end to the slave trade. It's draining Africa of its people. It's a vile, vulgar thing.
Right.
And that's his mission. He doesn't succeed, but at least he attempts.
He attempts to succeed. Now, this is, you actually convinced them to change the script, and as we saw in the movie, Blacula, before he became Blacula, was a prince from Africa.
Prince Mamu Walde was his name.
Was there much resistance at that time to do this?
Absolutely.
What did they say to you? What kinds of things were said to you?
Oh, I don't think that will work. We don't want to deal with the subject of slavery. I said, well, we didn't want to either. Had to.
It's true.
And I think that it hasn't been dealt with properly. This is a wonderful time to illustrate that there were African people who were concerned to the point that they wanted to do something about it. And that was true.
And it certainly became one of the most popular films of that era. It is today a cult classic. We've had a lot of actors here gracing our set, and they talk about the things that they go through to prepare for a role, to bring that character to life. What kinds of things do you go through to prepare to be a vampire? You know, what went through your mind? What were things that you thought about?
I thought about the African prince that I was portraying and the importance of his work, with the hope that we could achieve the objective. And I was very, very happy that, again, that they finally accepted this.
Right. But just in terms of being...
I know you
know what I'm on the vampire, because, I mean, that was a very important part.
My point is that I told them that I would take care of the function, the work of the prince who wanted to free his people. You take care of the crazy creature.
So there it was, people. So there it is.
Good interview.
That is a piece of the interview. You can see the full interview on YouTube. You just search William Marshall, Blacula, Tanya Hart, and you will be able to see that full interview of him on LA Live. You should come on every day on BET. That was when, you know, they felt the interviews were important, and now you kind of get that now on TV One. They have the Sister Circle, and they have interviews, right? So we wanted to, you know, play that for you to see that Blaxploitation is not actually Blaxploitation when you find out that there were actors. Now, as you go on through the interview, you find out that he was classically trained because during that time, the YMCA offered classes. He stated he lived at the YMCA for like 14 years. You know, and right across the street was the Negro Ensemble. Everything was happening in Harlem at that time, right? And so he really, you know, advanced during that, and, you know, went on, and he would call Paul Robeson his friend, Count Basie his friend. Harlem was really jumping then, and Harlem is not like what Harlem was now,
Right.
you know, and, you know, hey, what can you say? All right, so
Great segment. And that segment was brought to you by the Little Shiny book series.
Yeah, I'll bring them out there. Little Shiny book series produced by none other than Deshaun Snow.
Yes.
These are the actual books right here, and these are for preteen girls, right? And each one has a story. I'm showing you the back to. We interviewed her a few episodes back, and this is the actual series right here. You can pick it up right at littleshiny.com. That's littleshiny.com. That's also how you can get in contact with Deshaun Snow too, right? So these are the books.
Well written.
The well-written series. As you can see, the illustrations, well done, right? And you see her friends on that page, and then of course you see them going over there, the Diva Stars, right? So, you know, this is a series, 3 books. You know, you should have them. You should definitely have them in your children. They love to read. They should definitely have these in their reading repertoire, right? In their reading rainbow and all that. So that's what we want to say about that. So that segment was brought to you by Little Shiny book series. Yes. So as we go on, let's see. So let's see what we're going to talk about next. So we finished talking about the Blaxploitation. So now, people, it is now time to once again do a shameless plug for none other than Lord Land Theater. Every Saturday morning, a new Lord Land Theater debuts, and then you can see it, you can love it, you will enjoy it, and that's what's happening there. Lord Land Theater, right? And so now that we have gotten into the right style of accents, now we can get to the film of the night.
Yes.
The film of the night that we're going to be reviewing is Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey.
Yes.
Right? Downton Abbey. It's interesting. You see that picture. When I put that ad up there, I said, wow. I don't see a black face in that boy. Right? And you know, not to mention that there was a season when Bolden was on there. I don't know, you know, like honest truth to tell you, never watched Downton Abbey, but I thought the film would be good and that possibly you could have a story told if you had never seen the film, that it would still be interesting. And I thought that the film, we're going to get to that. Right, so to be honest, never saw episode on PBS, Public Broadcasting System. Used to be the Public Broadcasting Station when we were young, but now it's the system. Never saw an episode, wasn't caring. Maybe the last thing that I saw on there was Doctor Who when he had the black assistant, and so I was there, but I was not really interested in Downton Abbey. I will be honest, not least interested. But as I was researching Bolden, we reviewed Bolden, I found out that he was I think he was in a season. I'm not sure, but he was on there kissing on one of them, and I don't know what was going on, and you know, I really don't feel like going back to find out. But however, he's not in this one, and that's for sure. Because look, this is what we described. This is what we knew, right? Well, what's going on to Rhyme Schemes? I see he just gave me a salute.
Hey, Rhyme Schemes. Well, you know, first of all, you know, being familiar with the show, the audience was totally engrossed in the film. Okay, that's number one. And then number two, if you haven't seen the series, feel free to watch the film and you can easily pick up on the different characters.
Yeah, that's true. That's obviously true. That's what we were looking for. Looking forward to see if we could just pick up and they would tell a new story. And the story was good, and you could pick up, and you could tell by the way they were introducing characters to the screen that the people would know who these people were.
Right.
But even if you didn't know who they were,
they did a good job.
You soon pick up backstory because they had within the context they had backstory.
And I think from this film, for the people who didn't follow the series, now can easily jump into season 1 and pick up.
Mm-hmm. So this is what we noticed about Downton Abbey. Not to say anything. Everyone one day will be old and will need assistance. But I had never seen that many walkers and canes walking into the film. I've never seen a theater so white bread in the whole time we've been going to the movie. I have not seen
sprinkles of black people.
There was about 4. It was like a class of 200, and there's only 8 black people in the whole class of 200 graduating. Something like that, right? So this is what, but it was less than 8. But anyway, listen. So the theater was packed, and they were in there, and you know, a couple of the scenes I missed because people were walking back to their seats because you know they were going to the lab and then coming back, and I missed one of the key scenes because I couldn't see the woman's face to see where she was going with what she was emoting, and I was like, man, would you sit down? So this is what I noticed. I noticed that the reason why, to me, just to me, They don't have Bolden. I call him Bolden. I don't even know what character his name was in the series, right? But I call him Bolden because he was so incredible in Bolden, about the creator of jazz. I just call him Bolden, right? So what I noticed is this is an escape. This is a period where to them they don't have to see anyone but themselves. They can fantasize about being in that time. And this is why I believe, just from the audience that I saw, why Downton Abbey was so popular.
Gary Carr.
Gary Carr.
Yeah.
What character did he play? Gary Carr, who played Bolden. If you haven't seen the story about the man who created jazz, you have to see that film. We have that on the Crazy D Film Dude. You can hit the link and read and watch the review, and then go watch the film. It's available everywhere, you know, on demand. I mean, you can watch Bolden, right? But anyway, so look, we were sitting in the theater and we were watching the film, right? So I have to say that the film, the techniques of storytelling with image, beautifully done. It opens with a sequence, right? So the sequence opens up and you see a person is dressed royally, like a royal servant of such, writing a letter. They're writing a letter, they put it in the envelope, and then the letter is passed. Next thing you know, it's passed to the royal postal service. It delivers to the train station. You see it go into a bag and it's put onto the train, and the train pulls off. So it shows you, it opens up and tells you the story that this letter, this is an important letter, and it travels from England to whatever part of the UK that they are in, right? And it travels there, and it travels by train. Then you see another royal postal service driving and taking it to its destination, the mail carrier. He hands it to the head butler. The butler looks at it and says, "Oh my!" And then he runs in, and then he passes by. You've seen that in the trailer. Wouldn't you want to know? And he takes it there, and then it hands. So it's beautiful. So the whole opening sequence is about what the storyline is going to be about, which is the reception of this letter and them having to prepare for a visit from the royal family, from the royals. And this is where the story opens up, right? So there's multiple storylines going on in the film, and what you notice is that these storylines, like they finish up the different storylines quickly, right? Maybe in seven minutes or so they're finished. But these are storylines that would go a full season of a show. But they're finishing up these storylines and introducing new storylines with the characters. But there is one through storyline that what the film is about. The film is about the hierarchy. That's exactly what the film is about, and the hierarchy plays out in many different ways. It plays out that they cannot refuse the queen and king from coming, even though you find out in the story that they may be in some kind of financial straits, right? They were talking about cutting back, but they can't cut back now because the king and queen are coming to spend one day with them, right? So, but the hierarchy battles out between the servants, right? You have the Downton Abbey service, and then you have the king and queen service who travel with them, who lay out their clothes, who cook their food, who serve their food.
Everything.
And so this is a battle between the upper house and the lower house, right? Because the staff of Downton Abbey stay in basically the basement. So the visiting staff stay on the next level of accommodations. So they stay. So it's a battle between the upper house, lower house. Then you have a third level, which is the entertainment, where they entertain guests, and then the fourth level of Downton Abbey is the sleeping quarters. This is how they break it up for you, right? And because Downton Abbey is the world that you're in, the actual castle, the structure, the building is the world that you're in, and so the servants are playing within this world of hierarchy. And this is what this film is about, and how the servants who will be considered in the lower house can compete to win against the servants that have been placed, who come with the king and queen, who are their service, and how they can defeat them and win in this particular situation of who controls the house when the royals are in Downton Abbey. And that's pretty much what the story is about, right? That's the through line. And then you have other stories, and you see the passing of the torch and different things, and new romances begin, and you see treachery from the IRA, and so you see all that in the film. But that's the main storyline. It's the through line on it, which is really what Downton Abbey is about. Now, like I said, I've never seen this, but through just studying history, these different lords having their different, areas of land within the UK, controlled under the head of the king and the queen, the royals, and then these individual lords and dukes and all that. They have fought wars, and they fly their own colors, right? So this through line of the servants battling the upper house is a metaphor of how Downton Abbey, what they had to do to survive, to even be able to fly their colors, to have their own castle, their own structure, their own servants, their own way of life, right? So that's what Downton Abbey is about, really. But overall, it is very entertaining. Yeah. It is an entertaining film.
Gary Carr,
he
starred in season 4.
Season 4.
Yeah, he played the jazz singer.
Oh, he played the jazz singer. Yeah. And he had a romance with someone.
Yeah.
Right?
So that was season 4.
The season 4. So he came in, he sprinkled it in and said, but really for this fantasy, so people can escape the reality of everywhere they're going, turning browner. We're going to keep this with these 20 people, and it deals with the battle of the upper house and the lower house, the battle of feudal lords or dukes to have their place, and it's all told through this battle between the servants, right? Who's going to serve the food? Who's going to lay out the clothes? Who's going to be in control of what silver goes out? And all of that, it plays out, and that's about domain and where you stand. And so that's what it's about. Very entertaining.
Yeah.
You will be entertained. The story is well delivered, and it's very entertaining. Like I said, the opening sequence tells you the cinematography.
Well done.
Right?
Really.
The cinematography, you see frame within frame.
Right.
You see the use of the different size lenses and angles and positioning to tell the story.
Yeah. The
use of lighting, natural light, and lighting 500K and all that, beautifully done. The use of color to tell the emotion, beautifully done. The costume,
yeah.
right? The costumes the matriarch of the family.
Yes.
She comes in some dynamite
Yeah, she.
presentations on film.
Jazzy.
Yeah, because it's coming into the jazz age, and this is what they show you in the jazz age. There's a scene in there that's not meant to be funny, but I couldn't but laugh, and I should really.
Oh yeah, so don't tell them.
I should really spoil. I should say this should be a spoiler.
No,
spoil
because it was shocking. When I saw it, I was like, okay, I didn't expect this in Downtown Abbey.
Well, why are they using?
Okay.
I'll say this.
Okay. Because that.
Why are
because
they?
it was a new era.
But why are they using? Because like I said, it's coming to jazz. So why are they using the jazz with the Yankee Doodle Dandies? That's all I'm going to say about that. Anybody knows English history knows about the Yankee Doodle Dandies. A snappy tune, right? But anyway, so Downton Abbey. So cinematography 10. Storyline, being able to tell you a story that you didn't necessarily have to have seen all of the seasons of, or have ever seen Downton Abbey.
Right.
Well done, that's a 10.
Yeah.
The battle between the upper house and the lower house, and showing classism, as well as, the battle that possibly happened for them to even have Downton Abbey during the time when they're being the loyal, what is that term that they call it? The loyal opposition. Okay. Being the loyal opposition and maybe having to fight wars that are standing. That's what that's a metaphor for. The costume, beautifully done, capturing the period, changing over from where they were, which was Baroque or Victorian to jazz. Because I think maybe Baroque is in between Victorian. But anyway, beautifully done. The use of light, the use of color. 10, the ability of the actors to emote on screen. Beautifully done. The passing of the torch, and you see that.
Oh yeah, that was a nice scene.
That's a 10. So overall, I'm saying Downton Abbey was very entertaining, and I can say the reason why you go to see as a black person, the reason why you will go to see, first of all, you should be well-rounded anyway, but the reason why you go see a film that may not have you in it is because you have to see what they're thinking about you. And sometimes you can learn what they're thinking about you by how they treat others who are in different class standards, right? And so it's very important to go see films that don't have anything to do with you. Don't just stick with yours. But around here, we're well rounded. We can kick it, right? Well, anyway. Well done.
Yeah.
What would you give it?
I would give it a 10.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you said. And what I love is, like you said, that opening act without words told the story. It was an introduction to what the excitement was about, what was going on in Downtown Abbey. Downtown. So the excitement and everything was explained to you without any words. Like it was just all cinematography.
Yeah.
Just well done. And nice.
I give it was about a 5-minute sequence.
Yeah, and I loved how you were able to become familiar with like each of the characters. You were able to follow the storyline. I mean, they did a really good job.
Yeah.
So, and then I love the audience interaction. Like even at the end of the film, they gave an applause, right? And so during the film, people were like involved, and they were yelling at the screen and laughing, and just it was quite an experience.
Quite an experience. So I give it a 10 too. It was entertaining, and there were no racist tropes in it. We went to Operation Finale,
Right.
about the
Right.
about the Jews fighting
Right.
bringing war criminals to them.
And not one black person in the film, but they were making racist
And
statements.
somehow he got on talking about black people. I'm like,
Where
how
did
did they
this
put
come
that
from?
into the film?
Right.
I don't know.
Like there wasn't any of that in Downton Abbey.
No, nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? More like classism tropes, right? So anyway, people, it's been brought to you by the Film Review periodical. You know, we don't have to come out all the time because what we have in it is so potent. And you can go watch what we're saying right here at vimeo.com/crazy showcase /5crazy right? So you can go there and you can watch us globally by following the instructions and getting your Roku or your smart TV and searching, downloading the YouTube app or the Vimeo app and searching Lordland Films, and we're right there for you. You can see us in your city, in your country, okay, globally. Don't forget to check out the inside where you can learn about the various shows that we have every Sunday live. That's what we're on right now. And you can check out everything on the Talk Live. We're on 5 episodes of that. You know what I mean? And then you can check out some of the people that we've interviewed over the time. And you can just check it out and then make sure you pick it up. It's out everywhere in Las Vegas. You know what I mean? And we're looking for vendors to take it and put it out in other cities. You know what I'm saying? So people can watch us globally. You know what I mean? Let's see what we got here. Tamika says hello.
Hey, Tamika.
Tamika says favorite couple.
Oh,
thank you. That is Tamika from Wine and Conversation, right? That is the infamous DJ Remixes lady.
So we have fun doing Tamika's show.
Yeah, we're waiting to come back again, right?
Yes.
So,
it's fun.
people, this has been Tierra King just chimed in.
Hey, Tierra.
Yeah, so this has been another great episode of the Film Review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. Don't forget, if you didn't get a chance to hear it, we started the show off with the top 10 Blaxploitation horror films of all time. And like we said, all throughout the rest of September, going into October, up through October 31st, we're going to be reviewing and talking about films, Blaxploitation horror films that you should have playing at your Halloween parties. If you are ABOS. What's going on to Gary D. James, the infamous DJ Remix, because he just chimed in. So, people, what did Tierra say? She said, hey, family.
Hey,
all right.
Tierra. Hey, Jameer.
So, listen, as we chime out, again, this has been another great episode of Film Review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. Oh yeah, one more thing before we chime out again. Don't forget to pick up Lou Nails.
Yes.
I only drink at work.
Yes.
I only drink at work. Hilarious. It is a CD, not a DVD. Right? You can pick it up at heylounail.com. You want to say what's up to her. And she's doing her thing. She's here through January 2020 at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club at the Links. And if you haven't seen that interview, you got to go ahead and watch that interview and enjoy it. So again, people, in closing, as we close out, make sure you rewind this and watch this because we put information in there. We had the William Marshall interview, the one who played Blacula, right? We gave you some things. Word up! Gary D. James, infamous DJ Remix, just chimed in and said, so people, again, now, in closing, we had to give you all that, fill all that in. You have been watching the Film Review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. We are the husband and wife team. I am the voice of the filmmaker. She is the voice of the critic. I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society. And we will see you next time on the Film Review. And let me see what I'm going to close with here. Yeah, I think I'll close with this right here as we go a little something like this right here. This is another great episode of the film review.
We are the husband and wife team. We are the husband and wife team. We are the husband and wife team. Stay tuned. We're the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D. And this is the film review. Stay tuned. We got a lot to talk about. We are the husband and wife team that review movies, music, culture, politics, and society.
This is the film review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. We're the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society.
Sunday at 5:30 on Crazon Dion page on Facebook. Live stream. The film review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society.
This is the film review.